Aloha friends and family, and welcome back to the channel. We're going to go back in time a little bit today, and we're going to go back to chapter 4 of Our Cosmic Origin. And I'm going to reread that just because I think some people might have tended to skip it because the jams were a little bit loud on that one. And it's just way too good of a chapter to skip or miss. So if you missed it, here's your second chance. And if you skipped it, here's another chance. And enjoy the reading. Our Cosmic Origin, Chapter 4. Our Cosmic Spiritual Divine Origin. According to the perennial philosophy of esoteric wisdom, our current humanity has fallen from a higher state of being, awareness, in forgetting our connection to Source, and as a result we have been temporarily sleeping in a coma-like state, forgetting that we are celestial beings that descended into the terrestrial experience. We may say that as human beings we have existed for millions of years at least in many galaxies, including the Milky Way. As spiritual beings of light, we have existed for what appears to be infinity. Considering the new evidence, we may say that human beings today are powerful light beings with a major amnesia problem, forgetting their celestial origin. We may now understand that before the existence or creation of the physical realms, the material universe, or the lower heavens, we were light beings, all different sparks or rays of the all-powerful living light that has always existed. In fact, we are all different expressions of this infinite one light, which is the true spiritual meaning of monotheism. So in that regard, we are infinite by nature, since light is infinite. It is the conversion of this light that created the many different vibrational planes of reality, as they appear to be infinite in number. And out of those possible planes of reality, we happen to only know and perceive a small percentage of the entire light energy spectrum. For in the earlier stage of existence, light existed in its purest form, as there was no matter in the pre-material realm. According to quantum observations, this light energy has never been created, nor can it ever be destroyed, as proven by the second law of thermonuclear dynamics. Since energy is converted light, therefore light and energy are the foundation of what we call God, and it is eternal. The Spirit of God, Aka in science, unified field, or in metaphysics, universal life force, is the foundation of all life in existence, and there is nothing that exists outside of this light, for all is contained in it. Even though there are multiple planes of reality in identifying our existence, they all fall under three major planes of existence: the spiritual, etheric, and physical, as each major plane also consists of varying multiple subplanes. And so due to this extraordinary nature of multiple spheres of reality, it is required to embody different vehicles that have been designed for us to exist in these different planes of light, energy, vibration. Therefore, in the highest levels of existence, we have the celestial planes of pure energy, also known as the luminal dimensions. It is where energy is a pure luminal substance, and according to the esoteric wisdom, this region is beyond the confines of all space and time, and it's really considered the highest level of heaven. So let's call it the always existing spheres. In these planes only, the purest light beings reside. This is perhaps what the Urantia material calls the Havona systems of the central universe, or what our cutting-edge science now calls the metaverse or motherverse. And just real quickly, I want to show you a little map that I drew that kind of gives us a visual on the universe as pertaining to what he's talking about. So there you see we have source in the middle, and the next ring is the upper heavens, and it contains the dimensions and chakras. So dimensions 12, 11, 10, and 9 are in the upper heavens, and that is where our light body is born. In the middle heavens is where our etheric body is born, and it contains dimensions 8, 7, 6, and 5. And then finally, the third heaven, or the material planes, we have dimensions 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then I've written in right there, as you can see, the chakras. So chakra 1 is obviously red, has to do with will. Chakra 2 is the sacral. Chakra 3 is the power center. Chakra 4 is the compassion center. 5 is communication. 6 is spiritual vision. And then 7 being the crown chakra. So if you see that we are in the fourth dimension, right there where that 4 is, right at the edge of the material plane, or the third heaven, when we ascend into 5D, or when the earth ascends into 5D, we're going to cross over that line, and we're going to be in the middle heavens, or the etheric realm. So just wanted to share that with you. That might help you get a better visual of some of the stuff that we're talking about here. The metaverse is the never-ending sphere of the eventuated central universe, in which, according to the Urantia material, everything comes from. This cosmology will be discussed further in the next chapter. It has been revealed that only perfect whole beings of light are able to exist in these eternal realms of the celestial planes. And it is believed that out of these planes, the celestial cosmic Mother, Father, first source and center, become the cause of all things that extended beyond the confines of its always existing spheres. of pure light emission. It is from the first source and center that all was made possible for the celestial spheres to expand out into the outer void of the cosmos, thus beginning what is known in the higher esoteric knowledge as one eternal round, or the expansion of light into outer darkness and its return. However, the process is a matter of taking this light out, one outer space level at a time, for space is also infinite, and therefore there needs to be organization. We could therefore say that the first extension or involution of pure light into the outer and first space level gave us the etheric plane of existence, or the middle heavens. It was in this phase that the pure light first began to step down from its pure vibration, becoming converted etheric energy, filling the first space level and the outer realms that surround the divine spheres of the always existing light, the Motherverse. We could also say that this etheric energy became the universal matrix, or universal thought form, that later precipitated into the material spheres, or the lower heavens. Now, due to the never-ending surrounding infinite void of the cosmos as we exist in an omnicentric omniverse, it was prevalent for the prime creator, the first source, cause, and center of all things, to set up a barrier or wall and a perfect circumference around the eternal spheres. This is what some in the esoteric tradition have called the ring pass not, and its purpose was to prevent the universal light from getting lost deep in the infinite void, overriding organization. These phenomena also constituted an important universal law, and that it is what goes out comes back. In the natural world of nature, this is translated as what goes up comes down, or simply the law of return. Nevertheless, this ring pass does not allows the living light to return to its original source, thus creating a perfect circle or cycle of outpouring light and incoming light. This continues until its entire circumference becomes marked by pure light, thus ending one round of the perpetual, ongoing architectural work that is being conducted by the universal architect at the center of all that is. In this process, the light that is constantly going out is considered the descending part, or phase, which only marks half of the entire process. And in turn, the returning light that is bouncing off this ring pass not, a barrier, is considered the ascension part of the return of light back to its pure source. Now, this process did not happen overnight, although in the eyes of God it did, for all this is relevant and happening at the same time in the higher levels of the always existing spheres. However, from a third-dimensional perspective, it took eons and billions of what we would call Earth years for this process to unfold. In fact, it is well known now by most esotericists and mystics that the long descension process, or what the Eastern teachers have called the outbreath of the expanding God light, is finally over, We are now experiencing the in-breath, or the coming back of light, as the ascension process takes effect. This explains why our planet is ascending currently. The ascension process could also be known as the electrification or spiritualization of matter, as described in the Keys of Enoch, which is in progress as the Earth's frequency raises into the 8th dimension, or for our understanding, the 4th dimension. The descent phase could be scientifically and metaphysically considered the involution or evolution, or in the higher mysteries, the descent of spirit into matter, which is the true metaphysical meaning of the fall of light beings, thus becoming man and material. In fact, human beings are the resulting product of this descent of wholesome light beings into the lower levels of the material spheres. Therefore, from the top down, mankind originated as a whole light beings in the celestial spheres, living without any concept of time as we know it today. In fact, time is a byproduct of linear, limited consciousness and only exists in the confines of the 3rd dimension. On the contrary, time is non-existent in the dimensions higher than the 4th. Considering this, we may conclude that mankind's true origin was in the always existing spheres of pure light, when we were all part of a primal, singular energy field. Out of this primal energy field, we began to become individualized units of energy as the first phase of the descent occurred. When the middle heavens were formed, it was then that we became spiritual etheric beings with no material form, well, at least not organic material form. In fact, in our original state, as light beings, we didn't inherit form until the creation or extension of the lower heavens, the material spheres, which are also composed of 3 major spheres. Apparently, every major plane of existence is divided by the magical 3, all the way to the point where even man's compositions consist of 3 major aspects: spirit, mind, and body. It was in the 2nd phase of existence that different grades of light energy came to exist, as to when the light goes through a prism reflecting multiple spectral radiations. This conversion of the one light into different spectral colors is what allowed all descending light beings of light, or sparks of divinity, to take the form to accommodate our new environment as we first began operating with etheric vehicles. These were and are our energy bodies that we used in the etheric spheres when we were intelligent, without yet a physical form of flesh and bones, and organic. And they were 5. In the Keys of Enoch, they are revealed as the electromagnetic body of light, the Geometrian body of light, the Akka body of light, the Zohar body of light, and the Overself Christ body of light. Again, these bodies are not to be considered physical material. They are energetic vehicles to be used in the higher realms or worlds of the etheric spheres. In the aftermath of the conversion of pure light essence into the ether, the material planes finally came into being as the lower heavens were formed into existence. It was during this phase that the descending light etheric beings, us, needed a material vehicle. This vehicle has been revealed through the restored knowledge as the perfect embodiment, or Adam Kadman. It became the last energy matter manifestation for the descending light beings that had their origin in the always existing spheres of the central universe, thus correcting our true origin as made in the image of God. We may now state that the first Adam, our ancestor, was a light being, a full conscious spiritual being who first existed in the 8th dimension of the perfected material form or refined, manifested, non-organic matter. This refined, manifested, non-organic matter, being superior than the organic matter, was originally made eternal, as explained in the Bible. The point here is that we humans of the earth today were and are light beings that descended from the highest spiritual realms, gradually condensing into organic forms. Therefore, it is important to begin to understand that modern man, today's human beings, are all children of the one God, the primal light source of all existence. So we could now begin by reconditioning our minds to see each other as one and the same. Not mentioning our environment as well, for everything in existence holds within itself the life essence, or universal life force. The universal life force of the light source, which is the same everywhere. Also critical to understand is that before the extension or creation of the material universe, when we existed in our original habitat and original essence, the celestial spheres, we were all aligned and connected with the great central source, and everything reflected universal unity, sisterhood, and brotherhood. We are all thought of as a collective. Considering this, we need to correct our limited and valid belief system that believes mankind is a descendant of the animal kingdom. Mankind is not a descendant of the animal kingdom from the bottom up, as explained through Darwinian evolution. On the contrary, man is a descendant of whole light beings that originated in the higher spheres of the always existing motherverse. The animal kingdom was but a phase in the gradual development of the organic vehicle that eventually played a role in the final descent of spiritual beings descending into frozen condensed form, the organic vehicle of flesh and bones, Homo sapiens sapiens, which will be explained in greater detail in later chapters. It is important to distinguish us as the true essence of light spiritual substance inhabiting a temporary mortal physical organic vehicle in order to experience the lower dimensions of congealed dense form known as the third dimension. We are pure conscious awareness, not our organic body. However, it is equally important to understand that our spirit essence needs to descent into an organic vehicle or body in order to successfully complete the ascension process. For true ascension, as we shall see, is the integration of spirit and matter, heaven and earth. So in the correction of the jaded misunderstanding of our origin, we humans, on the other hand, have always existed as whole light beings of the highest light that descended into the matter, so that we may infuse the light into the lowest spheres of lower vibrations in order to spiritualize matter. Unfortunately, we have mistreated our animals, our earth, and that is why they had become so beastly in nature. Whereas before the fall of man, which is the fall of unity consciousness into separative dual consciousness, man and the animals living in harmony communicated among each other and shared collectively as keepers of our planet. For the record, let it be known that Jesus the Christ attested and proclaimed that all of us were sons and daughters of the living God, not just himself. The fact that we were celestial beings capable of ascending like Christ is well understood in the Eastern tradition of India, Tibet, and China. For millenniums, we have been locked into this linear, rigid dimension and have only perceived our physical body, and unfortunately have been conditioned to believe that all we are is physical bodies within, when in essence we are the fire life spirit that gives substance to both our energy vehicles and physical body. To make a correction in the lowest point of creation, in the lower heavens, the material spheres, light energy matter was initially intended to vibrate at no lower than the fifth dimensional plane, and matter with energy are in perfect balance. In this phase of being, the matter is more refined and easily able to be manipulated by the power of our light body. The imbalance of this type, however, came about when the fifth dimensional non-organic matter further coalesced into the fourth dimensional semi-inorganic matter and then into third dimensional organic matter, which is the densest. At its densest, it appears to be an extremely solid reality, thus losing its fluidity, connection, and balance with the subtle world of energy. This condition has caused many philosophers and scholars to believe that the world of apparent organic matter is an illusion and that it traps our spirit in our organic body of flesh and bones. Now, yes and no, because from a higher perspective, descending into the lowest vibrations equals a greater ascent into even higher levels of vibration, expansion, and growth, which is the reason for incarnation and reincarnation. It appears that in this limited third dimension where organic matter seems to be at its most dominant over energy, we are in a fallen state. However, as we ascend into higher levels or densities, then our energy vital self dominates our material form. Maybe that is the reason why for centuries we have only identified ourselves with our physical body while forgetting our original nature as celestial beings of light, energy, vibration. However, let it be clear that in the higher dimensions, life is more eternal and timeless because of the constant flow of universal life force coming from our light body into our subtler organic form, giving our organic form ageless living for thousands of years, making us appear immortal. On the other hand, in the third dimension, life is less than 100 years, because the organic form is receiving less than 10% of the entire universal life current that flows through our chakras or energy centers. It is this universal life force that flows through us that determines our lifespan. According to the esoteric wisdom, our light body is broken off into 9 energy vehicles, all different vibrations of the same energy field, with the lowest vibrational vehicle being our physical organic shell, which is the only one we see. Perhaps this correlates with the 3 overall planes of reality that are also broken off into 9 subdimensional planes of existence. These other bodies are as real as our physical body and exist in the higher vibrating states of energy matter beyond the third dimensional range of dense organic matter. Therefore, since our real composition as humans involves vehicles and aspects of ourselves that exist in the higher dimensions, our goal then would be to integrate those other aspects of ourselves so that we may become whole light beings with a perfected and ascended organic form. Excuse me. This would not only integrate, but ultimately ground the higher vibrations with the lower ones, thus reuniting heaven on earth as we shall soon see. In truth, we are powerful celestial beings of light with a major amnesia problem. And as we take up ascension with our planet into higher dimensions, we will begin to access those vehicles and realize how truly powerful and unlimited we are. This is not science fiction. This is the truth of the matter. We are multi-dimensional beings, and it is time to wake up. We will begin to understand this more as we begin to awaken spiritually, or as our other 90% of our genetic material becomes reactivated. In fact, the best way to imagine a whole being of light or soul is a core extension, extending from the great central source of all that is at the center of all existence, which is pure luminal light. Or we could say that we are all individual sparks of the one light resonating at the center of everything, containing within ourselves holistically the same attributes and elements of the entire light source, since our existence is holistic. From its center, we could conclude that this light, in its pure state, is the prime source of everything that exists, God. For instance, in terms of our latest scientific breakthroughs, it is energy in its most pure state, or highest vibration. Therefore, we could scientifically affirm that before we inherited organic physical bodies, we were considered intelligent because since the universe is holistic and living, we were all perfect functioning aspects containing the same nature of the whole in us, WHOLE. For example, our light body acted as a trans vehicle enabling the soul, or the real you and me, to experience and sojourn on the multiple planes and subplanes of the overall celestial realms of the higher light spectrum. In truth, the light body was our original and first vehicle as our souls extended from the central core or celestial sphere. It was this vehicle the ancient Egyptians referred to as the Ka body, and the ancient Hebrews refer to as the Merkabah. There is also reference to this vehicle in the ancient Chinese, Indian, and Tibetan text as well. Unfortunately, this knowledge regarding our original vehicle, the light body, was omitted from our records by the Dark Brotherhood and only preserved in the esoteric literature of the Brotherhood of Light and their various benevolent secret societies of both East and West. Again, all of these energy vehicles are different aspects of the overall light body that sustains the soul, ray of light, the real you and me, existing in the multiple planes of existence, all the way from the core in the highest vibrating spheres, pure energy, to the lowest heavens in the material universe, where light ether is converted into different grades of energy matter, from the most subtle to the grossest organic. It is also important to understand that some of the beings who descended first in their light bodies to scope the new conditions of the lower material spheres had become disconnected from pure spirit and began to take things into their own hands, acting for their own individual cause, as free will has always been honored as a universal cosmic law. This was the beginning of separation, as some of the light beings began to see themselves as individual beings separate from everything else. So the beginning of pride ensued, the original first deadly sin. In this sense, these souls were the first ones to descend as a result of separating themselves from the unified state of a singular consciousness, which is today known as Christ consciousness, or universal cosmic consciousness. This is the consciousness that unites us back with the whole of existence, or prime source. Even though duality is represented by a separation of the one into two, therefore giving everything a dual sense, good versus evil, female, male, duality also serves its purpose in the descension process, for it allows all souls involved in this process to realize their oneness and interrelation with all others, while appearing separated. This allows all opposites to integrate as they were in the celestial and etheric spheres before the descent of material duality. In truth, we began as celestial bodies with a pure body of light. Then we proceed in becoming intelligence, operating with etheric bodies, then finally descend or coalesced into a physical organic body as a final condensing of our energy field. Also, it is important to understand that when we whole light beings enter the final phase of our descent, embodying a vehicle of flesh and blood, we become only a portion of our total self. And since we are first spirit, we must descend into matter and then bring down our divine spirit into matter, or ascend our matter back into spirit, thus completing our perfection as made in the image of our Creator, who has also in a previous creation cycle gone through the same process as we all are in this current creation cycle. Each cycle is known as one universal round, and it is a process every spirit being takes in order to achieve the greatest experience and the highest degree of exaltation or ascension. This allows for each soul to explore and experience all levels and facets of the overall spectrum of the unified energy field, with the result of reuniting our individualized unit of consciousness with the all-universal Christ consciousness. The whole purpose of the universal round is so that all the sparks of light or children of God may evolve like our Creator God, that eventually man may ascend and go out there in new cycles of creation into the never-ending realms of cosmos as Creator gods, as done by our Creator God in the current round. After all, our cutting-edge science has now confirmed that there are multiple universes and that the creation of more universes appears to be happening every day as an ongoing eternal process. In other words, since our Creator is all perfect, he, she provides the same grounds of experience so that all his, her children, sparks of light, may follow in the same footsteps or blueprint. This explains why the cosmos operates according to divine laws and why there is a set system, or what esotericism and mysticism call a patterned blueprint in the unfolding of everything. It is the same system of involution or descent and evolution, ascent, that serves to create universes and worlds beyond number, all following and being fashioned by the same universal principles of the always existing and expanding Motherverse. Therefore, since we are all evolving together, we all follow the same universal cosmic blueprint of dissension and ascension, as we are all subject to the same universal laws and principles, except that in the descent we tend to lose our oneness with all that is, which serves a purpose, to eventually rediscover what we have lost, reconnect, and in the process inherit a spiritualized physical vehicle as we reunite with our spirit self, consciously and by our own volition, allowing our light body to spiritualize organic matter. I think we're going to leave it there for this one, friends and family. If this is well received or received at all, maybe we will revisit coming back and finishing this chapter, because as you could see from just that right there, that this is, you definitely just didn't want to skip this, I don't think so. Let us continue this amazing journey, this amazing awakening. That really just, it does leave us speechless quite often, which is the perfect place to be, especially if you're in deep meditation. You want to be speechless, right? And just focused and receiving. So we leave you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator. Until we meet again, my beautiful friends and family.